Hi guys. I hope you guys are doing great. This is Dr. T, and yeah, welcome to Clinical Medicine with Dr. T. So guys, I want to urge you once more to subscribe, to like, and yeah, to comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what topics you want me to cover. Let me know how things are generally, and how you're finding the channel. Yeah, so if you wanna support me, support this work that I do, simply like, subscribe. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you so much. So guys, today I got a WhatsApp message from a nurse. There's a hospital that I went to for my family medicine in January, February, March, and the first week of April. It's a district hospital which is about two hours from where I'm working. So I was there for 3 months. So this sister is working in the neonate unit. So she sent me this message yesterday on WhatsApp. She was asking, how does hypoglycemia cause hypothermia, and how does hypothermia cause hypoglycemia? So obviously that's neonate. Very funny that we have never covered anything on neonates so far. But anyway, so I was not even at my place when I was answering her. So I tried to explain, and I was like, as much as she understood when I explained, I sent her a voice note. As much as she understood, but I still felt that if I were to maybe write some notes down, she would understand it way better. But yeah, so, and then that gave me a thought, why that gave me a thought to actually go on and do a chat on that. So so let's first talk about hypoglycemia. Okay, one thing that guys we need to understand is that the brain of the brain of the newborns is prone to damage. Hypoglycemia, so it's prone to damage, and the things that have the main culprits are hypothermia, hypoglycemia, hypothermia and hypoglycemia are the thing in terms of when it comes to brain damage in the neonate. Infections, especially CNS infections, and also acid-base disturbances. Acid-base disturbances. And other things as well, né? So what we're gonna talk about here is let's first talk about hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia. So, as we all know that hypoglycemia is just a low blood sugar. At this point, I need to check this. I'm not really sure what is the cutoff in the newborns. How do they define hypoglycemia in the newborns? Anyway, so when I was explaining this to her, I needed to talk about Krebs cycle, not in detail, obviously. Remember, the Krebs cycle is a series of reactions. It's a series of reactions, series of chemical reactions. And this series of chemical reactions, there's only one thing, and that is to produce ATP, which is energy, right? And they are reactants. They are reactants that are used to produce the products. And these reactants, when they come together and they are speed up by enzymes. Remember, enzymes, they speed up reactions. They don't initiate, but they speed up reactions, and they are not consumed in the reaction. Well, those are the basics of chemistry. So the reactants in the Krebs cycle explains basically cellular respiration. Cellular respiration. So the reactants that we know that we've got two types of cellular reactions. So there are two types of cellular respirations. We have anaerobic and we have aerobic, right? We've got aerobic. We're going to talk about anaerobic is abnormal. Let's talk about the normal first, which is aerobic. So we know that with anaerobic there is no oxygen, but with aerobic there is oxygen, right? So the reactant for the cellular respiration, which is aerobic, is oxygen plus glucose. So we want these two reactants to be combined in the presence of enzymes to produce the products, which is ATP. And then there are other products, the byproducts, which is CO2, which is water, which is heat, right? So these are the byproducts. H2O. So and remember, we spoke about that we need enzymes. It's important, remember these enzymes, né? There are so many of them. Each and every step in the Krebs cycle has got a different enzyme. So this is the state that you want. You want to have glucose, you want to have oxygen, you want to have your enzymes so that you can produce this. And we all know that in the event where you've got a depleted supply or a reduction in the supply of your substrates, or your reactants, this affects the direction of this reaction. So you get a reduction of these guys this side. Because when you've got a lot of substrates, you will have a lot of production. It's like when you've got a lot of flour, you are gonna bake more, so you're gonna have a lot of whatever that you're baking. But once you've got, maybe now your flour has reduced, or maybe now your whatever that you use for baking is reduced, it will affect the products on the other side. All right. So let's now get to hypoglycemia. So when you've got glucose, but now you've got a reduced supply. I mean, you've got oxygen, but now you've got a reduced supply of glucose. This will affect your ATP, right? It will affect your ATP, it will affect your CO2, it will affect your water, affect your heat as well. Your heat. So those reactions, some of them are exothermic. Remember, an exothermic reaction is the one that gives out heat. So many of those reactions are exothermic, so they produce heat. So now, if you've got a reduced glucose, so now if you've got so we said that you've got oxygen plus glucose to give us ATP, to give us heat as a byproduct, to give us CO2 as a byproduct, to give us water as a byproduct. So now, once you don't have this, it means that now ATP will be affected, the production of ATP will be affected, the energy. The heat will also be affected, it's going to be reduced. And for us to keep warm, we are dependent on the endogenous heat. The heat that keeps us warm, that maintains our body temperature, is not an external heat, is the one that is from within. For instance, when you are in a cold environment, you are able to remain normothermic because you've got, even though the environment is cold, but because you've got heat that you are producing from within your body, that's the one that keeps you warm. And it's a result of cellular respiration, the Krebs cycle that we don't like. That's how crucial it is. So the reason why people start to shiver and shake when they're feeling cold, the body is like, if I can get a lot of aerobic respiration, I can get all the muscles contracting, those minute, small contractions. If I can have muscles doing that, they will, because when the muscles are doing that, they are respiring, they are metabolically active, they are respiring at a higher rate, so they will produce heat at a higher rate to keep you warm. That's why you shiver. So shivering is a good thing, but it's a sign that you are feeling very cold. So if now you have hypoglycemia, so it means now you're gonna have oxygen and not have anything to burn. And because of that, you won't produce heat the way you are supposed to. You won't produce ATP the way you're supposed to. So because of that, you get to hypothermia. That's how you become hypothermic. I mean, I'm sure there are other ways that I don't know about, but this is one that I understand, this is one that I know. So you move from hypoglycemia to hypothermia because you're not producing endogenous heat, and because you don't have a required substrate to produce the heat, which is the glucose. So you become hypothermic. And this is just a bad cascade, because when you have that, it's just a build-up of one on top of another, and then it just worsens. It's like a snowball effect. The more you allow it, the more problems you're gonna encounter. So you move from just hypoglycemia, now you end up having hypothermia.